Sensitive people, you've been warned, not by fate, not by prophecy, but by the quiet truth that hides behind your suffering. You feel everything. A look cuts you. A word lingers in your ribs for days. You replay conversations others forgot. This is not weakness, but it is dangerous, because while you reflect, they move. While you hesitate, they strike. And while you forgive, they calculate. You hope the world will reward your kindness. You believe empathy will circle back, but the world is not designed like a mirror. It is a ladder, and many climb on your back. You think, if I treat others well, they'll treat me well. This is a noble fantasy. But it is not strategy. People do not always return what you give. They return what you allow, and sensitivity often allows too much. You expect fairness, but power does not play fair. Power plays to win. You want to be understood, but in a room of wolves, speaking gently is not virtue. It is permission. You cry for others. They use your tears to float their ambitions. You forgive. They see it as an open gate, not a noble act. You must learn this. The world rewards what it respects, and it respects strength more than sentiment. This does not mean becoming cruel. It means becoming clear. It means shielding your heart without closing it. It means saying enough before you've given everything. If you are sensitive, you must become strategic. If you feel deeply, you must think even deeper. Not every fight deserves your emotions. Not every apology deserves your acceptance. There is a time to be soft and a time to be steel. Let no one confuse your empathy with ignorance. Let no one mistake your silence for surrender. Let no one assume that kindness means compliance. Build a mind strong enough to protect your heart. Build a backbone that does not fold at the first push. Build boundaries that do not bleed. Because if you do not, the world will shape you into something you hate, or worse, something no one sees. Sensitive people, this is not a curse. It is a calling, but only if you answer it with strength. Be gentle, yes, but also wise. Be loving, yes, but also watchful. Let your feelings guide you, but let your strategy lead. You've been warned. Not to be afraid, but to be ready. You feel the room before you speak. You notice what others miss, the tremble in their voice, the tension behind their smile, the way silence hangs just a little too long. You sense it all, long before anyone else, and you carry it, quietly, like it's your responsibility. It makes you compassionate, soft in a world that rewards hard edges. You listen with your whole body. You apologize even when you're not wrong. You flinch when others raise their voice, even if it's not aimed at you. This makes you easy to love, but also easy to use, because the world does not pause for people who feel too much. It moves fast, sharp, unforgiving. You assume people will notice your effort. You expect they'll respond with care, but they don't. They respond to what's useful, not what's gentle. Sensitivity teaches you to protect others, but rarely yourself. You defend people who wouldn't even show up for you. You explain your boundaries instead of enforcing them. You rationalize mistreatment as they're just hurt. You call it empathy. But often it's fear. Fear of being too much, fear of being abandoned, fear of being seen as cold. So you trade your peace for harmony. You hold your breath to keep the peace. You suppress your needs to stay lovable. And people learn. They learn what you'll tolerate. They learn you don't bite back. They learn they can cross lines and you'll redraw them in their favor. You become predictable. You become pliable. You become convenient. And the cruel truth, the world does not respect convenient people. It uses them. In power, there is no room for emotional delay. Decisions are made before feelings settle. Lines are drawn before you even speak. The moment you hesitate, someone else takes the space. Your sensitivity doesn't disappear, but it gets no vote. The more you care, the more you wait. The more you wait, the more you lose, and the ones who win. They are not waiting to be understood. They are acting while you're still explaining. The harshness of power is not that it rejects kindness. It ignores it. It doesn't recognize how tired you are or how much you gave. It only registers what you enforced, what you protected, what you didn't allow. That's the part no one tells you. Sensitivity without structure is a wound. You give too much too often. You ask too little too late. You trust too fast and regret even faster. Then you start shrinking, not because you want to, but because it hurts to stay visible. It hurts to show up whole and leave with less, again and again, so you hide parts of yourself. You soften your voice. You rehearse being less intense. You become smaller, quieter, easier. But the world does not thank you for dimming your light. It forgets you. Then it replaces you. People say the sensitive ones are rare. That we need them, that they're the heart of humanity. But hearts get broken, especially when they walk into battle with nothing but good intentions. You must understand this. Power does not hate you. It simply doesn't wait for you. It rewards those who move, who speak clearly, who say no without guilt, who leave when they're disrespected. You want to make space for everyone, but not everyone makes space for you. And if you keep offering yourself without condition, you will forget what it means to be whole. You grew up believing that good returns to the good, that kindness is a currency, that if you treat people well, they'll treat you better. That fairness is natural like gravity. You thought people would notice your effort, that your patience meant something, that your intentions would protect you, but they didn't. Instead, the ones who gave less took more, the ones who cared less rose faster, and the ones who lied best got believed. You blamed yourself at first. You thought maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you needed to wait a little longer. Give a little more, be even better, but nothing changed. You watched people cheat and get cheered. Watched them manipulate and get admired. Watched them take credit for things you stayed humble about. You kept hoping life was secretly keeping score, that someone somewhere was tracking it all, but no one came to make it fair. No one showed up to balance the scales, because the world doesn't reward fairness. It rewards leverage. It rewards timing. It rewards those who know how to tilt the rules. You thought reciprocity was the law, but it's a wish, and wishes don't build fortresses. They build illusions. You assumed decency would earn you safety. It didn't. It earned you expectations. The more good you gave, the more people expected. Not out of gratitude, but out of habit. You made them comfortable, so they stopped seeing your generosity as a gift. They saw it as your job. They stopped saying thank you and started asking what else you could give. You tried to explain this hurt, but they looked confused because they didn't feel the weight you carried. They only felt the benefits. So you started wondering, is it wrong to want fairness? Is it naive to expect balance? No, it's not wrong. It's just unrealistic. In this world, fairness isn't natural. It's constructed. It's demanded, it's enforced, but sensitive people rarely enforce. They wait, they hope, they explain themselves instead of asserting themselves. You wait for others to do what's right, while they do what works. You assume integrity matters to everyone. It doesn't, not in the way it matters to you. To many, morality is flexible, a tool, not a truth. They bend it to justify outcomes. They wear it when it serves them and discard it when it slows them down. This doesn't mean everyone is evil. It means most people are strategic, and when morality gets in the way of their goals, they edit it. But you hold onto it like a compass, even when it points you into storms. Even when it costs you sleep, peace, and pride. There's nothing wrong with that, unless you expect the same from others, unless you keep walking into the fire expecting applause for burning. If you want peace, You must stop trading effort for justice. Stop waiting for the world to notice you did it the right way. It won't, because it's not designed to notice. It's designed to move forward with or without fairness. You have to build your own standard, one that doesn't rely on others to confirm it. You have to do what's right because it's who you are, not because you expect a reward. But more than that, you have to stop giving people power over your worth. Stop thinking someone else's lack of decency reflects your lack of value. It doesn't. It just reveals their game, and the more you expect moral balance, the more unbalanced you feel. Not because you're broken, but because you keep expecting symmetry in a world that profits from imbalance. You lead with your heart. You can't help it. It's how you make sense of the world. You don't just listen to words, you feel what's behind them. You don't just remember what happened, you carry how it felt. You make decisions based on instinct, on connection, on what feels right. Not always what is right, but what feels right. And that works sometimes with the right people, in the right moments, when the cost is low and the risk is manageable. But not always, not everywhere, not with everyone, because emotion is not the only language spoken here. The world speaks in results, it measures in wins, it calculates in consequences, and feelings don't always translate. They move you, yes, but they don't always move others, especially those who have learned to separate what they feel from what they do. You cry and mean it. They nod and use it. You hesitate out of care. They capitalize on your pause. You forgive out of empathy. They take it as a cue to push further. The problem isn't that you feel too much. It's that you let those feelings run the whole show, as if every impulse is truth, as if every gut reaction is wisdom, as if feeling bad means something is wrong. But discomfort isn't always a warning, sometimes it's growth. And guilt isn't always noble, sometimes it's misplaced. Sometimes it's survival telling you to wake up. You can't just feel your way through hard decisions, because feelings shift, they lie, they beg for comfort even when discomfort is necessary. And if you only follow what feels good, you'll avoid what's essential. You'll dodge boundaries, you'll delay endings, you'll protect people who would never protect you back. You'll call it compassion, but sometimes it's just fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being seen as unkind, fear of being misunderstood. So you explain yourself endlessly, so you wait for permission to say no, so you compromise your needs, then resent the silence that follows. You think love will sort things out, that being pure will shield you, but the world doesn't read hearts. It reads actions and outcomes. Intentions don't always count. Not when trust is broken, not when you're negotiating, not when survival is on the line. The world is not personal, it is strategic, and if you want to thrive in it, you must learn to think like it. This does not mean abandoning your heart. It means consulting it, but not obeying it blindly. Let it speak, let it guide, but then let your mind weigh the cost. Let your logic cross. Examine the feeling. What am I feeling? Why now? What's the risk if I follow it? What happens if I don't? Emotions are data and not commands. They reveal, they alert, but they do not decide. That part is yours. Strategy doesn't kill emotion. It protects it. It makes sure your love isn't wasted, that your kindness isn't weaponized, that your energy isn't drained by those who only take. Because when you think clearly, you give smarter, you love cleaner, you say no earlier, you suffer less, but most of all you stop mistaking pain for purpose. You stop calling dysfunction deep connection. You stop offering your soul to people who only want your silence. The world doesn't always care how you feel, but it always notices how you move, how you respond, how you protect yourself, how long you stay in places you've outgrown. You want to believe the best in people. You look for the hurt beneath their anger. You listen when others would walk away. You stay when it's easier to leave. You see wounds, not flaws. You see fear, not malice. You think that's strength, and sometimes it is. But not always, because compassion without caution becomes currency, something others spend without ever earning. You forgive before an apology comes. You soothe what you didn't break. You explain away the red flags as childhood trauma or just a bad day. You let things slide even when they pierce you. You try to be understanding even when you're exhausted. You carry both your pain and theirs. You're proud of your empathy. You should be. It's rare, but it's not rare to abuse it. There are people who see your softness as an invitation, not to connect but to consume. They don't look at you and think, how kind. They think, how far can I go? And they keep going until you say stop. But you rarely do, because stopping feels cruel, because setting limits feels selfish, because you were taught that love means sacrifice, even if it costs you everything. You think people will see you're bleeding and stop. But some people smell blood and circle closer. They don't flinch at your hurt. They feed on it. They test your limits, then resent you for having any. They treat your compassion like weakness, then blame you when they take too much. You end up managing their emotions more than your own. You start filtering your truth to protect their ego. You abandon your needs just to keep the peace. That's not love. That's a hostage negotiation. One where you're both the guard and the prisoner. And the saddest part is you think it's your fault. You think you didn't love them well enough, that if you were more patient, more forgiving, more available, they'd change. But they don't because they don't need to. You've already adapted to their chaos, to their silence, to their blame. You keep giving, hoping they'll see your worth. But some people only see opportunity, not value, and the more you bend, the less they respect you. The more you explain, the less they listen. The more you absorb, the less they carry. You're not helping them grow. You're helping them hide. Behind you, inside you, that's the cost of unchecked compassion. You become the shield that takes every hit, even when the fight isn't yours, and eventually you become numb. Not because you stopped caring, but because you cared too much for too long with too little in return. You stop trusting your instincts. You question your reactions. You ask, is it me? When the truth is it's them, and you, together, in a dynamic that slowly erased you. It's not your job to carry every broken person you meet. It's not your role to absorb what they refuse to face. It's not noble to bleed quietly so someone else can feel whole. Compassion needs a border. Love needs a gate. Empathy needs armor. Because if you don't protect it, you'll give it away to people who only know how to take. You're not here to be the emotional landfill for people who don't want to grow. You're not here to prove your love by tolerating harm. Start paying attention to who drains you, who leaves you confused, who only shows up when they need something you're too kind to refuse. That's not a relationship. It's a transaction, and your soul is footing the bill. You can still care, but care wisely. You can still give, but give selectively. You can still love, but love with eyes open, because real compassion includes you, your energy, your limits, your healing. You thought sincerity was enough, that if you showed up with your heart, people would meet you there. That if you were real, the world would be gentle, but it wasn't. It didn't ask if you were tired. It didn't slow down because you were kind. It didn't change its shape to fit your softness. It kept moving, kept testing, kept taking. You kept showing up raw, unfiltered, wide open. You thought your openness was courage, and in many ways it was. But courage without caution is an invitation to be crushed. You trusted that your emotions had weight, that your tears spoke loudly, that your hurt would be honored. But the world doesn't speak the language of pain. It speaks the language of power. It doesn't respond to your struggle. It responds to your structure. The people who shaped it didn't do it by feeling deeply. They did it by choosing wisely, by protecting their focus, by cutting ties that softened their edge, not because they didn't feel, but because they didn't lead with it. They knew when to care and when to calculate. They knew that survival demands precision, not sentiment. You've been living in reverse, choosing heart over head, choosing connection over control. And it's cost you more than you admit. You've stayed in places long after your spirit left. You've watered one, sided bonds hoping they'd grow. You've given grace to those who counted on your guilt. That's not empathy. That's self-abandonment. And the world doesn't mourn your sacrifice. It moves on from it. It watches what you allow, then pushes further. Because in this world, the ones who hesitate get replaced. The ones who complain get ignored. The ones who feel too much get fed to those who feel nothing. That's not cruelty, it's structure. A system built on utility, not purity. And if you keep waiting for the world to meet you halfway, you'll die in the middle. Bleeding love into people who feel entitled to it. You think hardening will make you cold. It won't. It will make you clean. It will make you clear. It will make your energy harder to misuse, because softness without boundaries doesn't change the world. It exhausts the ones trying to survive in it. You're not here to prove your worth by being easy to break. You're not here to win hearts by sacrificing your spine. You're here to navigate, to protect your vision, to become something that can't be manipulated by flattery or guilt. You think love makes the world go round. It doesn't. Leverage does. Structure does. Self-respect does. And those who build their lives on feelings alone eventually watch those lives collapse under the weight of reality. It's not that you need to stop feeling. It's that you need to stop thinking feeling is enough. The world doesn't change because you feel bad. It changes when you decide to move different, when you stop handing over your power to people who haven't earned it. You need to become the kind of person that can't be guilt, tripped into silence, that can't be baited by chaos, that doesn't need everyone's approval to stay grounded. That version of you won't feel as light. But it'll last longer. It won't get applauded, but it'll get respected. And when the world comes knocking, demanding more than you owe, that version of you won't answer with tears. It'll answer with a gate, a clear line, a stillness that says, I know what I'm worth, and I don't need to bleed to prove it. Because in the end, you have to decide, do you want to be gentle, or do you want to be whole? Because the world, as it is, does not protect the soft. It consumes them, unless they learn to choose survival over sentiment, unless they learn to harden just enough to stop being handled.